Bring down the hammer! Fully charged for Piltover! Face the future. Strength through progress. This one's for the folks back home.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are playing Jayce today. It's a transforming type jam. That means that every single time you use your ultimate, you're going to transform, giving you a new set of basic abilities instead of that being an ability in itself. That also means that you are not able to put points into your ultimate. Instead, you have 6 points into each ability, guys. So you transform between a ranged and a melee champ. Right now we are using the cannon form. This is what makes him oppressive, especially in the top lane, because now he's a ranged champ, so you get ranged auto attacks, and you also have new abilities. So your Q is that cannon right there. That's like your main damaging tool later on in the game, guys. Now we have the W up. That is going to give you 3 quick auto attacks. That also works if you press W and then you press your ultimate so you get melee form, then you will still keep those 3 rapid auto attacks. Now switch to the melee form, which you do by pressing your ultimate. So now you count as a melee champ. So you know that the towers have special resistances against ranged champs in the early game. You can get past that by switching to the melee form when you auto attack the towers. The Q in melee form is a leap. The reason I'm being careful using this ability right now is because we are playing against the Vex, and every single time we use that leap on the Q, guys, then she's going to get a passive stack, meaning that her next auto attack is going to deal bonus damage towards us. So Jayce is like a early game lane bully. He becomes really strong when you have Eclipse and then you have the Mana Immune upgraded. That's why you start taking over the game. Until that, you have to be a bit careful. You don't want to use your ranged Q form, guys, because it doesn't deal any damage when you only have 1 point into it. You want to wait until you have at least 2 points into it. That's when you start poking with it. The E in the range form is the gate. Every single time you or an ally passes through it, you get bonus movement speed. But even more importantly is that when you use your Q through that gate, then it gets increased speed, size, and even more importantly, it deals way more damage. That's like your bread and butter combo, guys, like we did right here. This is how you want to poke people with in the laning phase, but also later on in the game. It's gonna deal insane amount of damage. You can take like half of an AD carry's health if you hit a single Q E combo. That's a quick way you can use that QE combo, is that if you place the gate very close to you, when you use that Q, then it comes out insanely fast. But it's also harder to aim and hit people with because you have to use it so fast, so you don't get time to like aim it properly. But that's like super fast way to hit that Q, guys. You can use that to catch the opponent off guard. It's very rare that they actually get to dodge it. That is a lane bully, but you also play for that 2-item power spike, as I said earlier on. So that means that when you get the Eclipse and the Mana Immune, which should be transformed, that's why you have to start taking over the game and also look for kills. That Q is starting to amp up in damage. It's going to get a lot better as you get more points into it. So obviously we want tier. But it really sucks in the early game, so you're gonna go for Lethality. The Serrated Dirk is one of the best early game items you can get. So you're gonna get tier on the next phase. You don't want to get it now, because then you don't really have any damage. Every single time you switch between cannon and melee form, you get some temporary bonus movement speed, so that's why I like to use that on my way back to base, to the lane, so you can get back faster. And when you use your W in the melee form, guys, then you have this AoE field around you, like you can see right now. And also the passive makes it so every single time you auto attack in melee form, then you get some mana back. It's very important for sustaining your mana that you also make sure to auto attack in your melee form. You can do that when you last hit minions and no risk of the enemy champ trying to poke you. And there are of course also some bonus effects every single time you switch to the ranged and melee form. You want to try to snipe people with that QE combo, especially when you play against a squishy champ, which you do most of the time in the mid lane. Because if you become really good at hitting that sniping combo, then the laning phase is going to be a lot easier, and you will also be able to pick up a lot more kills. Getting some nice mana back, that's why I'm auto-attacking in the melee form right now, because of the W passive. And your E is a knockback in this form. Works great as a CC tool, but don't use it for the damage only, because it barely deals any damage, cause you don't max this out until the end. But it's great to know that your E in the melee form deals 100% of your bonus AD as damage, and then it also deals damage based on the target's maximum health, so it's great against tanks, but doesn't do that much against other champs. You mainly use it for the CC, because it is a knockback, so you can do like the knockback flash combo. That also works when you want to set up the enemy jungler, or your jungler I mean. And we got that free kill right there, so you can see he is very strong in 1 versus 1s. Just have to wait for the right moment. When you play against the Vex, you have to be even more careful of not giving her free passive stacks, which you do every single time you dash, and your Q in melee form is a dash, so that's why I was a bit more careful in this game, but you can afford to play way more aggressive on this champ. First item is going to be the Eclipse. It has the best synergy on this champ. We have free boots in the runes, so of course we cannot buy those yet. We can always sell the biscuits we have if we don't get to use them in the laning phase, and then we will have a spot free for the boots. Remember that you can get 6 points into every single basic ability, since you cannot put points into your ultimate. That means that you're gonna be insanely strong as soon as you max out that Q. It's also important to know that you get ghosted every single time you switch your form, so you can run through the minions without getting body blocked. This is very useful for when you want to chase champs and they are trying to escape through a minion wave. You can see she's really low HP. We have the lethality and we have a couple 80 items, so our Q is going to hit like a nuke. So just look to constantly poke people. Do keep in mind that your Q cannon can get body blocked by the minions, so you want to make sure there's nothing blocking it out. And as you see, if you hit a couple Qs guys, then the lane should be over. But yes, he's very easy to gank. He does have some self-peel. That melee E, which is a knockback, can help you peel, and also you have your gate, which gives you some increased bonus movement speed. But you're still very vulnerable, because when you use your ultimate, your transforming ability, there will be some cooldown before you can use it again, and that's what the opponent can take advantage of. So how you play Jayce probably is that most of the time you want to be using his range form. That's what makes him oppressive in the laning phase, and then when you use the melee form, that's when the opponent is within range, because your melee form is used for burst damage. You have your Q, your W and your E. You use all of those at once, you deal a lot of burst damage, but you don't have that much range on them. Use your range form to poke people with the auto attacks and that Q as well, and when they're within range, then you can switch to the melee form and then nuke them with a full set of rotation of your abilities. But he's very hard to play, probably extremely hard. He does have way more abilities than a normal champion does, so you have a lot more that you have to learn. So it's normal that this champ will always have a low win rate in solo queue, because people who don't know how to play him will play him as well. But if you master him, then you will see good results. There's a reason he's picked all the time in pro play. If you watch Worlds, then he also had a lot of presence, and that's because he's so oppressive, because he has both a range and a melee form. So he can do well into a lot of matchups. You don't always get to pick up a lot of kills in the early game. Sometimes you will. Sometimes it's also going to be a bit slower, like it is in this game. It doesn't matter that much. You just want to make sure that you have a lead somehow. So it has to be through the kills or the CS. In this case we are up in CS. We're just playing for the Eclipse and the Mana Immune upgrade. When that happens, that's when we look for kills. You can also make roams towards the bot lane, guys, because you have that long range Q, so you can snipe people if you see somebody low HP. If they have vision of you, then it can be better to use the fast QE combo, where you place the gate super close to you, so your Q cannon comes out instantly. But as I said, it's a lot harder to aim, because you have to use it almost instantly. But you also have some magic damage on this champ, especially your W. In the melee form, so even if people start building armor against you, you won't be that useless until you get the Shrivelous Grudge, because you still have some magic damage in your kit. Also, a really good way to engage onto the opponent, guys, is that remember that your Q in melee form deals AoE damage and it also slows. So when you see the enemy champion being close to a minion wave, you can Q to the minions, so you also hit the enemy champ, and then you can engage. Remember to constantly switch your form on the way back to lane, because you get some bonus movement speed every single time you do that thanks to the passive. Helps you get back a bit faster. It can be the difference between getting the cannon minion or losing it. The Q at this point is going to one-shot the caster minion, so you have some really good wave clear, so just push, and then also remember to use your W in range form, because it gives you 3 rapid auto attacks. So you can push a lot faster. And in the super early game, where the towers are way stronger against range champs, you can use the W in range form, and then you immediately switch to your hammer form, the melee form, and then you auto attack with the quick 3 auto attacks. Remember that the first auto attack you deal in cannon form, guys, when you switch to it, is going to reduce the target's armor and magic resistance, so before you use a full combo, try to get that auto attack in and then use everything, because then you get a lot more value from your kit. But you also take out some of their resistances, meaning that you're going to deal a lot more damage. But this is a skin you can get for free, by the way, if you did not already know. There's an event up, meaning that you just have to win a game, I think it was, and then you get the skin for free. The Arcane skin from the series. It doesn't really have any effects, it just looks cool, I think. Not any new effects from what I have seen, because it feels pretty much the same as the standard skin. But it does look pretty cool. The E can take out the Skull Crab shield, because it is a CC ability, so you can also take that down insanely fast if you want to. You can look for roams, guys, especially if the bot lane is low HP, because then you can try to poke them out with your Qs. But this has been a pretty passive laning phase so far, and that's because we played against the enemy jungler, trying to camp us quite a bit, and we also against the Vex, so we can't really use our dashing abilities, we have to be a lot more careful. But now is the point where it starts becoming a lot better. As soon as you had the Mana Immune and the upgrades, that's why it's showtime. That's why you had to start carrying. When you play him in teamfights, like out of the laning phase, you play him like a poke mage. You try to hit those long range QEs, you hit a squishy target, guys, they're gonna lose like half of their health. So try to poke people down before a fight starts, and then when the fight starts, then they will either be out of the fight or they will be super low HP, so they can't do much anyway. That's how you have to play Jayce in the later stages when you get out of the laning phase. Use that cannon form, use that QE combo, try to hit multiple people, at least try to snipe the squishy ones. You don't want to hit the frontline tank if they have someone, because your Q is barely going to deal any damage. You want to go for the squishy ones, it doesn't matter who, as long as you hit somebody with that ranged Q, you're gonna nuke them out. They either have to base or they have to join the fight with almost no HP, and that should be an automatic win. Sometimes they'll randomly dodge your abilities, guys, even when they don't have vision. It is going to happen, but the more you play this champ, the easier it's going to be hitting your Qs, because you understand exactly how it moves and how fast it's going to move. But you can see that damage is absolutely insane. You just want to make sure that when you pick Jayce, you want to make sure they have a squishy team, because he sucks against bruisers and tanky champs. He does the best against squishy champs, that's what he's made for. He has a lot of burst damage, and he also has ranged burst damage with his cannon QE set abilities. So I want to make sure that you're playing as a squishy team when you play this champ. And also keep in mind that he's very hard to play and also very hard to master. So it is not a champ you can pick up in 10 games. You need hundreds of games before you can really master this champ. You saw that QE right there, half of Zara's health. Gonna get even better as soon as that mana immune transforms. So when that happens, that's when you have to start taking over the game. You just want to constantly poke people with that QE. If possible, try to do it outside of vision, because then people cannot see it coming in. Then you can kind of catch them by surprise, and you hit multiple people and they're gonna be out of the fight, and your team is gonna win it. So the point where Jayce really starts shining, of course, when he has Eclipse and an upgraded mana immune, but also when you siege. You know, when the opponents are trying to defend their towers and you siege as 5, that's when you like stay out of vision and you just constantly poke them with QE combos. That's why it becomes really fun to play Jayce, and that's also where he's really strong. He's very, very strong when you have to contest for objectives, the Dragon, the Baron, the Elder Drake, the Rift Herald, the Towers inhibitors, and so on. Because you just stay out of vision, you constantly poke people with that QE and combo, you're gonna take them out of the fight, and that's how you slowly whittle them down, take down the objectives, and win the game. So Jayce is also a split pusher, he can be played like one, meaning that you also want to be in the side lane. You want to group when there's an objective you can take, but otherwise you want to be in the side lane so you get all that XP and gold for yourself. At this point you can either get the Zerilda's Grudge, but they don't really have any tanky champs, they don't really have any armor, so it would be a waste. Instead we are going for the Yuma's Ghostblade, giving us a lot more damage and also that mobility in the active. If they have a lot of shielding, then you can also go for Serpent's Fang. There's also Edge of Night. You have all the lethality items that you can buy. But Yuma's Ghostblade is like the best lethality item you can buy right now. So of course that is the one we are going for. That Q almost hit. Should be like 10% health if that one hit. You can use that E knockback to peel for yourself. If you see somebody trying to engage onto you guys, look at that damage on their Q. You hit a couple of these and the AD carry will be out of the fight. But this is the point in the game where Jayce is the strongest. Just look at that insane damage. This is what this champion is capable of in the mid game. This also means that in the mid game that's why you have to carry and end the game, because he's not that strong later on. People will have their items, they will have their armor items, the AD carries skilling up, so they're gonna deal similar damage. So I want to take advantage of your super strong mid game, earlier mid game. That's why you have to try to end the game. He still has a lot of burst damage in the late game, but it's harder to access the targets because they'll start grouping and the front line will be a lot tankier. You really want to take advantage of your mid game. That's why you try to get all the objectives you can. Give your teammates a massive lead, and then you try to end it there. But this is how you play Jayce, guys. So I hope this was helpful. As always, thank you so much for watching, and see you all in the next one.